know that genes are silenced when the books close, right? We know that there are certain genes that are turned off and on early in our life to set up our bodies that might not be useful for us anymore to be able to continue on as adults, like lactase persistence that we actually have inside of adults now, but that gene normally gets switched off. So lactose intolerance, like I am, is the normal state that you would see in typical other organisms. We know that histones are the things that DNA wraps itself around to tighten the coils so that the methylation tags make sure that the DNA is easily packed, but also switches it off. Now to note that there are other methyl groups that are actually there. There's 4 different components of a histone. There's more complicated than just the simple wrapping of the DNA around a histone that controls all this epigenetics. But for right now, let's just simplistically lie to you and say that it is this simple, just to get the idea across. We also know that males and females have a different responsibility based on their epigenome. For males around puberty, in middle school, before they know about epigenetics or genetics really at all, that's when they're locking down their epigenome based on the stress levels, the foods that they're eating, and the environmental pressures that they are considering. So we probably do a better job about educating children how to guard their epigenome. And for females, when they're looking at their pregnancies, what they decide to do during that pregnancy, especially later on, determines what their grandchildren are going to look like and how that's going to affect their livelihood. And their genome was set up by their grandmothers. In all of this, there's a couple of things that I want to point out to you that are helpful. Nova's What Darwin Never Knew helps to explain this a little bit further. If you want to check that out, and Ghosts in Your Genes by BBC are phenomenal, and they go into this a little bit more in depth with scientists that can explain it a little bit better than I am with a little more time. But what I want to say is that you are a guardian of your genome. Of your epigenome, you have control. Darwin, whenever he was talking about his genetics, Mendel's pea plants, even though they didn't know anything about one another, fit together perfectly. Lamarck we dismissed as far as being able to acquire characteristics and pass them on, but we might know now that he was more right than he was wrong. And it's kind of this hybridization of Lamarck and Darwin that makes it make sense. So I want you to know that what you do matters for your genetics. It's not just all predetermined. You're a guardian of your epigenome. I mean, you're a defender of the universe.